Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Meet the Actor. And today I'm joined with Genoveva Rossi, who most people might recognize from things such as Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Mania, Blood Slaughter Massacre, and one of the things I most recently watched, which was 100 Acres of Hell. That was the most recent thing I've seen you in. But
Yep.
of course, you've been in lots of other things. Just a quick look at your IMDb, and it's very vast. You have a very long career and probably a lot more coming up.
Oh, yeah. Even with everything going on in the world, I've been booking a lot of gigs. Everybody is really looking forward to getting back into the helm and shooting more movies. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
People in West Virginia. I'm talking to some people even internationally about doing films like Thailand. I'm talking to people, New York City, all over the place. Everybody's really eager to get started again doing films. And there are actually even a couple films I've been working on remotely.
Oh.
Using all the technology that we have now, and possibly work on some, films remotely during this quarantine, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Keep everybody occupied. I'm urging everybody that now is a good time to probably channel a lot of your energy into creative outlets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have about 105 IMDb credits. I'm waiting for a couple more films to be added. It hasn't been that long of a career because I really started. My first IMDb credit was in 2012.
Yeah.
So, or maybe that is long. It depends on what your opinion on time is.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But so I guess we'll start with the first question, which is, of course, how did you first get into acting?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, I would have to say my first play was in nursery school, and I played a ladybug. And I thought I did a really good job, and I did too. And then and in grammar school, I did a couple little plays in school, and then in high school and college, I was involved in a couple friends like short films and film projects. None of that really went anywhere, and none of it's on my IMDb. I have no idea what happened to those films that I worked on in high school and college. Who knows if they ever got finished, or to say, or if they ever went anywhere. And then after college, I end up in Jacko's Slasher, which is directed by my friend Jennifer Valdez. Her sister had asked me, "Hey, do you want me in my sister's movie?" And I played a sexy Satanist in that movie, and which has become a little bit of a typecast.
Yeah.
I played a sexy Satanist, or like a witch or something like that, in a lot of films. And then from that, I worked with James Balsam on I Spill Your Guts, and then Zombie Hunters, where I played like a soldier, and then like a whole bunch of things. And then one of my favorite films I did early on was Apocalypse Kiss, where I play a pregnant hippie working at a cafe that the main characters come to, and I'm 9 months pregnant in that role.
Yeah. Obviously, when I looked at your IMDb, you've also had not just films you've been in, you've been in quite a few well-known TV series as well. Gotham was on there, and Nip Tuck was on there, and stuff like that. So you're doing quite well in that aspect of getting out further than, say, just the horror genre. You're branching out into other places.
Oh yeah, like I've even been talking to some people recently about maybe doing some mob movies, maybe doing some sports movies and things like that. So I like to try to do different things for sure. I do a lot of comedy, and I do some theater work and things like that. So I do like to kind of like step out of things. And then New York City area, so I do apply when they're looking for people for different shows. I've been on Gotham, 3 times. Somehow or another, I guess I fit into that Gotham universe.
Yeah.
Pretty well. I think I was in an Italian wedding, on an episode of Gotham.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how often Italian weddings pop up in TV shows. I've been in two Italian and TV shows. Like I think I'm on Nurse Jackie at an Italian wedding and like a whole bunch of other ones. Pretty funny. Yeah, you always find when you do a TV shows, you end up at weddings, funerals, and protesting.
I did see on your IMDb there's a couple of you starring as a protester of some form or fashion. I can't remember what the shows was, but yeah, there was a few like that.
For a few things, because it just seems like we're always protesting something in a movie, because that's always like the arc of the story. So there's quite a few films horror movies in mainstream films that I play a protester and I'm like holding up a sign. It's pretty funny that like kind of just keeps on happening. Or like I said, you're always at a wedding or a funeral or something that's like a big like life event of some sort. Happens a lot in films because if you think about films, it's like often a film arc. And then another thing I get cast as a lot is a fortune teller, a palm reader, tarot card reader.
Yeah.
It's surprising how many horror movies and also non-horror movies have a fortune teller character that kind of foreshadows what's going to happen later in the story.
Do you think that's because you got a certain look that they kind of go, oh, that's what we want to go with, or it's just because you kind of being typecast in a way? Is it that, or?
I am a professional tarot card reader. I do palm reading. I do tea leaf reading. So I guess they figured if we're going to cast somebody, might as well cast somebody that does that professionally because I'll give a more authentic performance.
Yeah.
Like I'm pulling tarot cards that would fit the scene and fit what I'm going to say. I try to make it more authentic so that if somebody was watching the film that was a reader themselves, they would feel like, wow, that's spot on or something like that.
Fair enough. So you kind of answered this anyway, but we'll say, what was your first role outside of the things you previously said? So obviously you had your stuff at school, then you had the first horror film you was in. But let's say, what was your first non-horror role then?
My first non-horror role. I think I was in college maybe, and I think I was in somebody's film where we were like all online to get to work, and we were like workers working at a factory. And then I think another one was I was like the mother of a little kid, and we were going to get something framed at like a framing store. But they were like short films that I did. Yeah. And then for feature films, what non-horror things have I done? A lot of the things I have done have been horror. So in the non-horror genre, probably weddings I've attended, funerals I've attended, things like that. I'm in a movie called Apocalypse Kiss, which is not really a horror movie. It's more of a sci-fi movie. And then when, as I said, I play like a pregnant hippie. I'm 9 months pregnant. I actually give birth in the film.
Oh. Do you have past experience that you could bring to it, or was that just one of them kind of, I've seen what's going on, so I'll go that way with it?
I did some research of watching movies, and you can always watch The Miracle of Life or something like that.
Yeah.
Because as an actor, you don't necessarily have to have relevant experience for whatever role you're doing. You can always research that.
Yeah. So, another question you kind of already answered it, but how long have you been doing it? Say professional acting then. How long have you been professionally doing it?
As a professional actor, I would say since around 2012.
Yeah. So, and then of course, what have you worked on? I did look at your IMDb before, of course, this call, but what have you been working on, or plan to be working on? I did see on your IMDb you have about 15 either pre-production, post-production, completed filming titles all coming out.
Oh, yeah, so what am I working on? I have a short film called Attack of the Killer Chickens that I'm turning into a feature that I'm directing, starring, and writing. Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie. So I'm working on. What else am I working on? I'm working on an upcoming film called Jasper. What else am I working on? I'm working on a film called Central Authority. That's, I think, in post right now. And that's a film that we did while maintaining social distancing and utilizing all these, amazing technological advances that we have nowadays. So I think that's going to be a pretty interesting and revolutionary kind of film. And then what else? And then I have an upcoming film, The Dead End, which is a zombie movie that I'm going to be working on. And then with the same director, Robert, we're going to have another film that we're going to be working on down the road, too. Another horror movie. So, yeah, quite a few things coming up. And then I'm actually in the process of talking to a few more people about potential things, so I can't really say it yet. Yeah. But I have quite a few things probably coming up in the pipe. I usually try to shoot something almost every month.
Oh, you've been very busy then.
Yeah. And even with the, situation being what it is, I've been trying to do that, but I've been doing maybe a little bit more remotely and things like that,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, what advice, your personal experience, what advice would you give to upcoming actors or people just wanting to get into the film industry? Obviously, looking at your IMDb, you've done other stuff, not just in front of the camera, you've done writing and stuff like that. So, any advice for either? So, acting or behind the camera from yourself?
What would be my advice to people? Well, I think you should kind of get yourself out there and don't be afraid to really start out doing some really simple things. In the beginning, maybe you should do whatever you can do to
Mm.
just film set, even if it's just an extra, even if it's unpaid, even if it's just maybe like holding like a microphone for
Yeah.
somebody. Doing whatever you can do to get onto a film set so you can make connections, so you can learn.
Hands-on experience.
Yeah, and I did that from my own experience. In the beginning, like a lot of films that I did, maybe you have a small part, maybe you're
Mm.
just there helping out. But if you're good at what you do, if you're reliable, if you're consistent, if you have a good attitude, I think one thing will lead to another.
Yeah.
Rather organic.
Okay, and your last question is obviously promote yourself. Promote yourself, your channel, if you've got a YouTube channel, website, or any other projects you want to promote.
So I have a website, www.genovevarossi.com, GenovevaRossi. Check out my IMDb of 105 credits. I think I have 35 films on Amazon Prime right now that you can check out, and things like that. I'm also on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. And as you said, I'm also on YouTube. So all those kinds of things. So people can definitely, seek me out and see what I'm up to.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I wish you the best with all your projects. Obviously, it's a bit hard in the situation we are in at the moment, but as you said, it is possible. You find the means to do it, and you can still do it.
Exactly. I guess right now we all have to kind of just be as adaptable as we can.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I shall
Thank
let you get on with the rest of your day.
you.
Thank
Too.
you. Bye bye.